Tom Bower, the legendary royal author, is sharpening his quill.
This decision came from William. I've spoken with sources who were present during the discussions that led to this announcement, and what they describe is William presenting his father with a stark choice: sacrifice Harry now, or watch the institution hemorrhage legitimacy for another decade.
Oh no, it will be active. It won't just be, I'm ignoring this. It will be, your titles are stripped, you are gone, you are banished.
This isn't a family row anymore. This is institutional surgery.
And so he became hypersensitive and blamed the media for the crashes of his relationships, never thinking that they could have something to do with himself. So he's a very complicated, depressed, unintelligent man who is seeking a role and has got really nobody on whom he could rely, which is in the end where Meghan stepped in. I mean, a needy man met a woman who could help him with his needs.
Now, no one blames these two poor children. I mean, I was listening to Maureen Callahan the other day predict that she thinks, eventually these two will move as far away from Harry and Meghan as possible. And that's certainly a possibility. I mean, if I were them, I would grow up and I'd think, oh my God, you stole the opportunity for me to live history. You stole the opportunity for me to meet and spend time with the greatest monarch that has ever lived in Queen Elizabeth II.
You cannot monetize family conversations, private phone calls, intimate letters, family grievances, and then expect the institution to protect you.
Very aggressive PR for the Sussexes, got way beyond herself because she really doesn't understand the British royal family or Britain, but understands how to project her clients. And so I think she got it wrong by leaking it, or even letting anyone know about it.
What was that about? Was he looking for a hookup? Was he looking for a, what's it called when you pick up drugs? See, I'm such a goody two-shoes. It was, he was looking for something.
Because in the end, one of Meghan's many deficiencies is she has nothing to say. There's no originality. There's no profundity. Every leaked detail, every revelation in his book, every interview wasn't just a family betrayal. It was a constitutional hemorrhage.
But remember, Prince William set Harry these very, very clear red lines, and he crossed every single one of them.
Tom Bower has just gone on record with something the palace will desperately wish he hadn't. And when you hear what is revealed about what's been happening behind closed doors between William and Charles, you'll understand why this story is about to change everything.
And if you look at his face, really look at it, you don't see grief, you see relief. The relief of a man who's just watched a problem he couldn't solve be solved for him, legally, finally, permanently.
There's a photograph doing the rounds right now. William standing beside his father in the palace corridors. And what struck me wasn't what you'd expect. It wasn't grief. It wasn't sadness. It was relief.
What Meghan never really understood, probably not even now, is that when she was chaired as a working royal, it wasn't because she was Meghan Markle, it was because she represented British royalty and all the values of the Queen and all the tradition and the 1,000 years of history. So people were cheering not just the person, but also the institution.
The unmistakable look of a man who's just watched a problem he couldn't solve move closer to being resolved legally, permanently, and without his fingerprints anywhere near the knife.
This isn't symbolic. This is the monarchy's immune system recognizing a threat and neutralizing it.
Because what Bower has exposed isn't a family falling apart. This is institutional surgery. Calculated, deliberate, and closer to happening than anyone outside the palace walls realizes.
William is a very strong-minded guy. He's not someone you want to mess with. He's not someone you want to cross.
According to Bower, the palace is now actively moving to formalize Prince Harry's status within the monarchy. And I need you to pay attention to that word. Formalize, not under review, not being discussed. Formalize.
The monarchy survives by being more ruthless than its critics, more disciplined than its challengers, more committed to its own perpetuation than any individual is committed to personal happiness.
Bower describes documentation being prepared that would make Harry's position unambiguous. Removal from contingency planning.
He exists, but he doesn't exist. Present in blood, absent in function. That's what constitutional quarantine looks like.
Removal from succession protocols in all but the narrowest technical sense. He'd still exist on paper, but institutionally he'd be excised.
He exists on paper, but institutionally he's been excised.
What would that mean in practice? It means that in the event of a catastrophic scenario, and I'm talking about the darkest, worst-case situations, the palace quietly plans for. The protocols would skip over Harry entirely.
Archie and Lilibet, that one day they could just walk in as like these Californian teenagers at 18 years old and say, give me a job, William. It's not going to happen.
As though he doesn't exist within the constitutional framework. This isn't ceremonial. This is the monarchy's immune system recognizing a threat and preparing to isolate it before it can spread.
We could have been royals. You know what I'm saying? Those kids are going to be so pissed someday. If I grew up.
4 years, the palace has operated in deliberate ambiguity. Is Harry in or out? Could he come back? Would there be a reconciliation?
Well, I do feel that Meghan's building this empire of perception. It's not actually what the talent is, it's more the, the smoke and mirrors.
Every unanswered question has fed a speculation cycle that turned a family dispute into something far more dangerous, a constitutional grey area.
The media allies that they once had have had to realize sort of like, oh God, we backed the wrong horse here.
The public filled the silence with their own narratives. The tabloids ran with it. 7 days a week, and that speculation became the dominant story of the monarchy for half a decade.
Archwell, their company, is not a charity. It's a commercial organization. They give very little money away for charity.
What Bauer is telling us is that Charles is preparing to end all of it. Not with diplomacy. Not with a carefully worded Christmas statement. With legal precision.
He doesn't even want Harry at his coronation. I mean, that is extraordinary. That shows you how far things have fallen.
What I'd call constitutional quarantine. You identify the threat, you isolate it, and you move forward without looking back.
This is what I call constitutional quarantine. You isolate the threat, you neutralize it, and you move on.
But here's where Bauer's reporting gets genuinely explosive. He says this isn't being driven by Charles. It's being driven by William.
But his complete disgust at his own brother is actually something that probably eats away at him even more.
Sources Bauer has spoken with people present during the discussions describe a very specific moment. William sat with his father and laid out a stark choice. Deal with Harry now or watch the institution bleed legitimacy for another decade.
Professionally, they've gone down dramatically, and I predicted it in the book. But even I would not have thought it'd be that accelerated. I think personally, I think they've separated their professional lives, but I think what's really a great problem for them now, as of in the last few weeks, is that Meghan has got no real income anymore. She's finished.
There was no middle ground offered, no suggestion of a phased approach or a quiet compromise behind closed doors. William wants finality.
This decision came from William. I've spoken with sources who were present during the discussions that led to this announcement, and what they describe is William presenting his father with a stark choice: sacrifice Harry now, or watch the institution hemorrhage legitimacy for another decade.
His reasoning, according to Bauer, is clinical. His children, George Charlotte Lewis, must inherit a monarchy that is stable and legally unambiguous, free from the internal contradictions that have dominated public conversation since 2020.
There are young people discovering William and Catherine who don't even know much about the royal family. They don't know the history at all, but they're just falling in love with them as characters in the public sphere.
To achieve that, Harry can't simply be sidelined or kept at arm's length. He has to be removed entirely from the operational architecture of the institution. Not distanced, removed.
There's a calculation here that's almost Machiavellian in its clarity. Better to be feared for your clarity than loved for your ambiguity.
Charles, after what Bauer's sources describe as months of genuine personal agony, is said to have agreed. And that agreement is costing him something you can see if you know where to look.